Big Daddy here with another video in the series of customizing KDE Plasma 5. So I debated on which way to go with this because I wanted to get into the settings. But if I go into the settings, there are just so many settings. It's like diving into the Grand Canyon. And I guess I'm going to have to just do it in order. But if I do it in order, it's going to take a while. Okay, so it's going to be a lot of videos broken down. So before I dive into the settings, I figured I would get Dolphin out of the way, because Dolphin is the best file manager out there, hands down. Most customizable, most reliable, and okay, from my viewpoint, the only thing that Dolphin lacks in is it doesn't look as good as some of the other file managers. I really was never a big fan of the way it looks, and I don't know exactly what I would do to it to make it look better. But if you've ever seen like Nemo from Cinnamon, yeah, that looks nice as a file manager. But we're not going for so much looks here. We're going for because it has so many options and so many settings. And I don't know, you might want to get a cup of coffee because this might be a long video. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible, but with this, it's like, wow. Okay, to start out with, this is almost the default settings. I have added one or two icons to my folders, and I have added a couple folders to the places menu. Now, one of the things let's start out at the top here and work our way down. All right, so you have your back button, your forward button. These are the default buttons here. Okay, so icons view, you have compact view, and you can, once you go into compact view, you can raise them however large, oh my gosh, you want them to be. But by default, when you go to compact, this is the size that they come out. Details view mode is the same scenario, but it just has the details here, and it lists some. One of the main differences between compact and details is compact, if they're bigger, they will run down and then continue in another column. Details, if they're big, they're just going to go down. It's just going to be a scroll, so it's not going to head over to the right. All right, so you have the find, which is basically a filter or a search. You also have the same type of search over here in the places bar, or you can search for documents, images, audio files, and it actually, well, for example, if I type in for my Linux install document, there is my Linux install document, which I have all my PPAs and everything in it. Okay, so that's a find, and like I said, you can customize it down here for just documents or whatever, but the find will search everything basically. It'll try to filter out everything. You have the preview, which when you hit the preview in the settings of Dolphin, it defaults to a certain icon size. So the way Dolphin is set up, it usually defaults to a bigger icon set than what it is normally. So if I'm here, and now I think I did change that, it actually raises the folder size when I hit preview. But I normally turn off previews off of folders. I really only want the preview on like an image file or something like that. So we'll get to that when we go into the settings. Another thing that makes Dolphin great, and I know a couple of the file managers out there, Nemo and Nautilus, have the split menu, but it's just That's just an awesome thing. It's different than opening in a tab. So you can open another tab, but you can actually just drag and drop here instead of dragging it to the tab. And you can also, when you have the copy to on, which we'll see in the settings, you can actually just copy it to the other pane. You can just drag it to the pane. So once you open it, then the split turns into a close. So you know what to close. And then you have your control button, which is basically a menu button. And it gives you all sorts of options to show your select all, view mode, which is the same stuff out here, which is why you don't really need to see all this. Hidden files. You can reload, adjust view properties, but here's things that are added in that are pretty nice. You have information, you have folders, which you can add or go to a certain directory over here. I don't really use that, so, but I do use the terminal. So normally in the normal running of my Dolphin, I will have the terminal open and I will have Dolphin come out like that at that size. That way, no matter which folder I'm in, I'm already in a terminal, and I can do whatever command I need to do at the time. Now, if you don't like to see the terminal, then, that's completely up to you, and it doesn't have to be on, but the option is there to turn it on. Okay, the location bar. Now, you have this here, and your location bar is here, and it is editable. Editable. You can edit it. You can copy it by just clicking on it. Okay, but in here, it has. If you click on it, it becomes editable. So you really don't need to check this setting, because all you have to do is click here, and it becomes editable. And most file managers are not that way. So you have tools here, which you can open in the terminal. These are just basic shortcuts. I don't have to go over these. You can read. You can read. All right, but let's go over the. Well, before we dive into the settings, because that's deep. Over here with the places, you have your normal folders, but what Dolphin allows you to do is it makes it easier to add things here, which I've added the computer, and I've added my wallpaper and my icons folder, where most file managers you can add bookmarks, which they end up coming down here, but I want to see them right alongside my other folders, and you can drag and drop these anywhere you want. And I usually have them in alphabetical order so that I know how to find them, except for home, I leave there. But normally I have them in alphabetical order so that I know exactly where to go for that folder. So if you wanted to, say, have my backup folder in here, you can just drag it over and boom, it appears. Like I said, most file managers are not that simple. And if you can add a bookmark, you add the bookmarks, but the bookmarks show separately. It does have a section for recently saved, which I don't use because I don't really use that feature. So I usually turn that off, and all you have to do, and you can do this for any icon over here, you can right click and you can hide that folder. And if you make a mistake and you say, oh my gosh, I didn't want to hide that, all you got to do is click this, show all entries, and it puts it back. Okay, so I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to hide this, and that gets rid of the whole section. I don't really need that. Now, I normally hide the search as well, but recently I've been actually looking at it, and I think I'm going to leave it there for the moment and test out how quick it is to find files and whatnot. It's probably quicker to use KRunner, but I'm going to check it out and see how it is. And you also got all your devices listed. So the Places menu is pretty, I mean, it's flexible. So like I said, you can hide, you can show all entries, you can make these icon sizes bigger, which is what I normally do. I don't know exactly which one I'm going with. And when you raise the icon set, it goes from the symbolic icons to regular icons for the icon theme set that you have. So that is one thing that you can do to make, I don't think I want them that big. That is one thing you can do to make Dolphin look a little bit better. I'm not a big symbolic icon guy, so that I think looks a little better than the. I wish the themes would have a darker thing here. A lot of them don't. But anyway, continuing on, you have your slider bar, which you can make the icons as big as you like, or you can make them as small as you like, down to 16, down to the symbolic icons again. So I'm going to leave them right there. Okay, and it also gives you how much space you have, free space in this, on this drive. So whatever drive you're in, say you go to this one, then your space will show. So that's pretty much the basics of it. I mean, you can right click on any folder and create new folder, text file. These are all things that you can create. So link to the location. You can open a new window, or you can open a new tab, which is a nice feature, opening in a new tab. Cut, copy, paste, rename, move the trash, open with, and usually this is where operating systems add more things to this menu. Like I know Linux Mint adds a lot of features, and I haven't yet tried to figure out how to get the open as root installed on KDE. So if anybody wants to point me in the right direction on getting the open as root in here, that would be awesome, because I used to have it, and I tried once before, and if you go into Dolphin for the services, it has open as root in there, but it never really installed right, and it didn't work, so it didn't never show up in it. So I don't know if it's because it was working for an earlier version of Plasma or what, but if anybody has an updated version of how to get the open as root in here, please leave it in the comments. That would help me out tremendously. Yeah, so you can look at the properties, and this is where you would change icons for specific things. Like, I'm going to turn the preview off, and this is where I don't like the preview on folders, because it does change the icon to whatever you have. If there is something to preview in there, it's going to preview it, and I don't want it to do that. I want to keep the icon I set there. So you right click on it and you hit properties, and you just click here, and you can either pick one of the system icons, or you can choose other and browse for the icon of your choice. So you can hit refresh, and if you're adding things, this usually refreshes on its own pretty quickly, but you can, if you're doing something specific and adding files to the folders, and you keep this open and you want to hit refresh. I know I was copying a themes folder, and it was taking forever because there were so many files in it, and I would every so often hit refresh to see how it was coming along. You can change the permissions in here, and you can hit, when you change permissions, I usually hit the apply to changes to all subfolders and their contents, which means, any folder that's inside, say you change this permissions for somebody and you allow them to modify it, or you forbid them to modify it. If you hit OK and hit apply, it's only going to apply to this folder, but it's not going to apply to the folders inside the folder. So you need to check this in order to make it work across the board for everything in that folder. All right, on to the settings, because here's where it gets deep. All right, so you can configure Dolphin, and you can configure it to open in any certain folder that you like. You can choose a different location. It doesn't have to open as home. If you wanted it to open to your documents specifically every time, then you could change. You could just go to your documents, come in here, and use current location, or you could just browse to wherever location you want to use. This is all the startup options. So the split view mode you could check this, and it would automatically have the split view mode all the time. It would same with the editable location bar, where it would show up all the time as editable, and if you hit apply, it's just going to stay looking like that the whole time, almost like you clicked into it. I leave it off because you can just click into it and get to it the same way. So you can show the full path, which right now it says home, but if you click this, it'll say the actual full path. I mean, I don't need that. So, and you can also show the filter bar down here, but I don't need that either. So I don't really change much in here. The view modes, the icon size, I actually did change this, so it wasn't completely default. I think the default is up here somewhere, where on the icon size, on the icon view, which is what I use, it normally would be like one larger than that. So when you hit the preview, it would actually raise the icons. But these are the default settings. So Dolphin remembers your settings as you go in and out of each folder. But these would be if you wanted this to be all the time, everywhere, by default. So in compact view, you could change these settings, and then it would appear all the time in all the folders until you changed it. You can also change from the system font to a custom font if you so like, and change the width as well. And this is all for each view mode. So navigation, open archive as folders, open folders during drag and drop operations. I don't use any of these. Now services, and this is where you can add the open as root as well, but I usually check copy to and move to commands, and I check the delete. So basically the services are anything in the right click menu or the context menu, or whichever way you want to call it. So now that I've checked those, now delete is here, and now the copy to and move to is here. And I believe if you hit split screen, the copy to, oh no, it doesn't give you the folder, other folder. I believe one of the operating systems that I was running gave you the copy to other pane. I think maybe that was Mate that did that. That's actually a good feature, but it's not here. Okay, so you can, all these are by default. You can uncheck what you don't need if you don't use this. If you don't extract files, which I don't recommend you uncheck it, but if you don't, you can uncheck it and it won't be there. So you can download new services, and this is where, I mean, you can pretty much get anything you want. But say like this simple root actions, this has been here in here for a while, and it never worked for me. Okay, so if you can type for whatever you're looking for as well, and you can type as root. So these are ones that are available, but I don't know what all these are. They're not root actions like I'm looking for. Okay, now this is, and this used to work, but I think it's for KDE 4, and I don't think it's available. I don't think you can get the root actions easily for Plasma 5. There's probably a way, you can probably edit a file some way, but I don't think you can get them for Plasma 5 easily. So then you have trash, and you can limit the size, and you have general, which is the default setting is to remember properties for each folder. So going in and out, you want, say for example, you want the documents to look like this, But then when you go to music, I don't want my music to look like this because I have like, say I have all these files in here. I don't want it to look like this. So for music, I want it to look like maybe the compact view or the details view, so that I can just, probably the details view, so I can just scroll like this and see them at a glance. So that's what and Dolphin will remember that by having this checked. It will remember when I go back into this folder that it's going to look like that, yet when I go to my home folder, it'll keep this setting. Now, you can check this to use common properties for all folders, and anything that then what that will do is, once you set up your view modes of which you want, like the icon size, the preview, the font, then it'll always keep that. And even if you make, well, I don't think it'll keep the change any longer once you go out of it. So say you're in here and you change this to a different view mode, you close Dolphin out, it'll come back, it'll be the default again because it uses the common properties. That's my understanding of it. So the sorting mode, you can change that. It's natural sorting. I don't know what exactly natural sorting means, but it usually does it by alphabetical. I mean, it usually does alphabetical on the folders and then alphabetical on the different file types. So like if you have folders, it'll do alphabetical, and then it'll do files alphabetical after that. If you do alphabetical sorting, I believe it'll do all of them. Not sure. Like it'll do all of them together. No, I don't know why. Maybe it needs to change if I go in and out. But okay, so moving on, because I'm not exactly sure on that one. Show tooltips, show selection marker, and rename inline. I don't know what all that does. I'm not a geek. I just know what I need to know. Okay, so previews. I don't want the previews on folders because, like I said, when I come out here to my home and I hit preview, you see how the icon's raised up larger? So let's see here. Preview modes. There. That's the way I want it. Okay, so I don't want to lose my icon, so I take it off of folders. It's good on images, and it's even good on it's okay on text files, but I mean, you don't need it on text files. So confirmations, if you want a confirmation for moving the files to the trash, which I don't want, it's there. Deleting files and folders you should have, because you're deleting it. It's going past the trash can, so you want to make sure that that's what you want to do. Executing scripts or desktop files, I think that was checked. I don't know if I unchecked it or what, but you should probably. No, I think I unchecked it because I used my Windows reboot script and my Plasma script, so I don't want to do that. And ask for confirmation when closing Dolphin windows. So the status bar, which is this, you can the zoom slider, I'm sorry, is this. You can uncheck it and it'll be gone if you don't like it there. Or the space information, which is this, you can uncheck and it'll be gone. So those are basically the default settings for Dolphin. But it also has more settings. So you can configure the shortcuts for Dolphin for, say, cut and paste, open new tabs, like I believe the split is F3, I want to say. Yeah, it's F3, so you can edit that if that doesn't work for you. So that's up to you if you use shortcuts. I don't always use shortcuts. But this is where I like to edit Dolphin or customize Dolphin. So configure toolbars. So I add one or two things here to this. And for example, I will, let's see here. What do I add? Because I haven't done this in a while. The hidden files is one that I add So anything over here is all the available options that you can have for adding to the toolbar. Over here is your current ones that you have showing right now. So you click on, say, hidden files, and you hit the arrow, or I mean, pretty much you can drag it too as well, but you hit the arrow and you hit apply, and it's here. Now, if you want to change the icon to that, you don't like the icon to that, you can pick an icon from the system, or you can, like the folders, you can browse for an icon that you like to see. They're never, in previous versions of KDE, there was never an icon on the hidden files. It was always just text. I guess, I'm not sure when, but they did add an icon to it, but I always used to have to add an icon because I wanted one. So, and you can also change the text to it. If you don't want it to say hidden files, or you want it to say show, you can change it to whatever you want it to say. So there, show hidden files. So I'm not going to keep it that way because I know what hidden files means. But it's there if you want to do that. So you can, I usually put open terminal as well, which that's if I'm not running the panel, depending on the mood that I'm in. And you can, well, let's see what the difference is between terminal and open in terminal. So if you're here and you hit open in terminal, opens in the terminal. Here that is the panel. Okay, so that is the terminal panel, clicking it on and clicking off. This is actually opening a separate terminal, which I don't see the difference in it. So I'm going to get rid of the open in terminal because I don't need a shortcut to the terminal. So you can either do the arrow or you can drag it off. And you can also change these around by dragging them up or down, and it'll reposition these as well. So if you don't like the position of them, you can change that as well. All right, so I'm gonna probably put a few or more on, but for the video's sake, this is getting a little bit long here. So that is how you, and you can also show the menu bar. I don't like showing the menu bar. So I think it is Control M to get rid of the menu bar. And when you do the show the menu bar, you actually lose this control button because you don't really need it anymore because you're showing everything that's in it through this menu. So, but like I said, I like it without the menu. And you used to be able to, and I'm not sure exactly where it is, but you used to be able to change, you probably have to change that in the settings somewhere to have the wording underneath the icons, because then these buttons actually get bigger. And I wonder where that is. It's probably somewhere in the settings. So somewhere in the actual system settings, I would think. Because I thought it was here where you had a drop down button that said text alongside and all that other stuff. But anyway, Dolphin is a pretty awesome file manager. Very powerful, very customizable. So that's about it for Dolphin. And until next time, for the next Customizing KDE, Big Daddy out.